The Today Show, a program that has seen its share of emotional interviews and headline-making moments over its decades-long run, was thrust into the spotlight once again when Prescilla Presley, widow of Elvis Presley and longtime keeper of the Presley family legacy, stormed off the set following a heated confrontation with host Hoda Kotb. The incident, which unfolded during what was supposed to be a reflective and celebratory interview about Presley's life, career, and ongoing involvement in preserving Graceland, quickly turned into one of the most shocking live television moments of the year. Audiences at home were left stunned, the studio fell into a stunned silence, and the fallout afterwards sparked heated debate about celebrity interviews, media boundaries, and the fine line between honesty and intrusion. The segment began innocuously enough. Kotb introduced Presley warmly, noting her decades of influence not only as Elvis's former wife but also as an actress, businesswoman, and cultural icon in her own right. The introduction highlighted her recent projects, her memoir, her involvement in biographical films, and her continued dedication to protecting Elvis's estate and legacy for future generations. Presley walked on stage to applause, looking elegant as always, and exchanged pleasantries with Kotb. At first, the conversation was lighthearted, focusing on Presley's memories of Elvis's artistry, his humor, and the impact his music continues to have across generations. Presley smiled, her voice warm as she recounted tender moments of their time together. But things began to shift when Kotb steered the conversation toward more sensitive territory. She brought up recent legal disputes within the Presley family, particularly those involving Priscilla's granddaughter, Riley Keough, and the management of Graceland following Lisa Marie Presley's tragic passing. With a careful tone, Kotb asked, "Priscilla, there have been a lot of headlines recently about family disagreements and legal battles. How are you handling all of that while trying to honor Elvis's legacy?" At once, Presley's demeanor hardened. She paused for a long moment, her eyes narrowing slightly before replying, "I find it deeply unfair that in a moment of grief, the media, and now this show, want to turn something so painful into spectacle." Kotb, maintaining her calm professionalism, tried to clarify that the question wasn't meant to exploit, but to give Presley a chance to share her perspective directly with the public. But Presley cut her off, her voice firmer now. "There are things that belong to the family, Hoda, not the public. I came here to celebrate Elvis, not to be interrogated about private matters that should never have been dragged into headlines in the first place." The studio audience, sensing the tension, fell completely silent. Kotb attempted to pivot, saying she understood Presley's frustration but that people at home were curious because they loved the Presley legacy and wanted reassurance that Graceland was in safe hands. That remark only seemed to intensify Presley's irritation. "Graceland is safe. Elvis's legacy is safe. But it is not your place, or the public's place, to pry into every family disagreement. Do you have any idea how painful it is to sit here and watch my family's grief turned into entertainment fodder?" she said sharply. The crowd gasped, some murmuring in shock, while Kotb, visibly uncomfortable but still steady, tried to return to questions about Presley's memoir and her decades of work in Hollywood. But Presley wasn't done. Her tone grew even more direct as she leaned toward Kotb. "I agreed to this interview under the impression that it would focus on my projects and on keeping Elvis's spirit alive. Not this. Not dragging my daughter's memory and my granddaughter's life into the spotlight yet again." Kotb, attempting to de-escalate, apologized and suggested they move forward, but Presley shook her head. "No, this is exactly the problem with the media today. You smile, you act like you care, but you're feeding the public's appetite for scandal. I've lived this circus for decades, and I am tired of it." The confrontation reached its breaking point when Kotb, gently but firmly, reminded Presley that as a public figure, questions about her family were inevitable. That statement seemed to strike a nerve. Presley's face flushed as she replied, "Being a public figure does not mean surrendering your humanity. I will not sit here and let my pain be consumed like gossip over morning coffee." With that, she unpinned her microphone, stood up, and, to the shock of both Kotb and the audience, stormed off the set. Gasps and scattered applause filled the room as producers rushed to cut to commercial. Backstage, according to sources, Presley was seen leaving quickly with her team, declining to speak further. Kotb, left momentarily speechless on camera, composed herself and addressed the audience when the show returned from break. "Sometimes conversations go in directions we don't expect," she said softly. I have the utmost respect for Priscilla Presley and her family, and I wish her nothing but peace. The statement drew applause, but the tension in the room lingered. Within minutes, clips of Presley's walk-off went viral on social media. Twitter exploded with reactions, with hashtags like hashtag Priscilla Presley, hashtag Today Show, and hashtag Storm Off trending almost instantly. Fans were fiercely divided. Some praised Presley for standing up for herself, arguing that Cotby had crossed a line by pressing into family disputes during a time of grief. Good for Priscilla, one tweet read. She's protecting her family's dignity. The media needs to stop poking at open wounds. Others, however, sided with Cotby, arguing that as a journalist and host, she had asked a fair question about a public matter. Hoda handled that with so much grace, another user posted. Priscilla overreacted. If you agree to go on a national show, you should be prepared for tough questions. Entertainment outlets quickly seized on the story. Tabloids splashed headlines like, Priscilla Presley explodes on live TV. While more serious publications debated whether Cotby had crossed a line or whether Presley's storm-off was symptomatic of years of media fatigue. Cultural critics wrote op-eds dissecting the moment as emblematic of the ongoing struggle between celebrities, desire for privacy and the media's demand for transparency. Priscilla Presley embodies a generation of stars who have been hounded by the press for decades, one columnist wrote. Her storm-off wasn't just about one interview, it was about a lifetime of intrusion. Behind the scenes, NBC executives reportedly convened emergency meetings to decide whether to re-air the segment in its entirety or heavily edit it for future broadcasts. Some argued that the raw footage was too powerful to cut, while others worried about damaging the Today Show's reputation for respectful interviews. Regardless, the moment was already etched into public memory as one of the most dramatic in recent live television history. For Presley, the walk-off underscored her long-standing struggle to balance her public role as custodian of Elvis's legacy with her private desire to protect her family from scrutiny. For Cotby, the incident tested her ability to handle unexpected confrontations with grace, something for which she was both praised and criticized. And for the audience, it was a reminder that live television, no matter how carefully orchestrated, can still erupt into moments of raw, unscripted drama that reveal the human tensions simmering beneath celebrity culture.